be talking about how to optimize your SEO strategy for conversational queries. This is a very important topic nowadays with the rise of AI and with the rise of just our dependency using all of these tools. So, is your website even optimized for that? Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. First things first, make sure you're following us in any of our channels, be Facebook, LinkedIn, X, or Instagram. We're everywhere. And of course, here on LinkedIn, you can look for my name, Patricia Boral, or the agency, Boral Agency as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So today, we're going to go over a little bit of an introduction of what is SEO for conversational queries and why it's so important, which we're really not going to stay there very long because we're all using it. So we know it's very important to be able to rank on Google. Then we're going to go ahead and review some of the strategies that you can use for optimizing your website for SEO. Then we're going to go over a few examples of successful SEO strategies. And lastly, we're going to close with how do you even know if your website is even optimized for conversational queries. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to test so you can find out for yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get started with first, the introduction. What is these conversational queries that we need to be looking for? Queries, basically, this type of queries means that you just have to start writing content in a way that is more conversational, period. It's very simple. It says it on the name, conversational queries, for a reason, right? So basically, what we want to see on your content is you using more of a natural language, walk away a little bit from the technical language, and make it more natural. That flows like as if you were having a conversation with someone else. And another way to look into that is using basically complete sentences, right? Like it says right there, right? Using natural language or complete sentences. So when you are choosing your keywords, we already knew that choosing single keywords, like one word, were already, kind of like not the best practice for SEO. And we were talking about choosing long tail keywords, right? When we were thinking about 2, 3, sometimes even 4 words in the actual keyword. Well, now you need to start thinking about complete sentences as your keyword itself. So it's getting even longer. Who said size? It didn't matter. Sorry. All righty. So let's go ahead and think about, and obviously the importance, why is this so important? Because you want to stay relevant. You want your business to show up on the results for SEO. You don't want to be lost in the sea of content that every time grows and grows and grows. We want to make sure that your website still staying relevant, you're showing up on the results, and people are able to engage with your content. And right now, we are using our phone more and more, just talking to it. So if you don't show up in those results, you're going to stay not relevant. So some successful strategies, how we marry to this AI world, right? So let's think about, again, long tail keywords. So do a research on these type of keywords. And again, you have to start thinking about adding more words to it. So for example, if before, let's say for our company, right? So let's say I'm going to write a blog about, website design, the best trends for website designs. So instead of just using the keyword as, website trends, it's 2 words, technically a good long tail keyword, or even like website trends 2024 or 2025. Oh my God. That will be considered a long tail keyword. Now you have to start thinking about something even longer, and then you start adding the word like, what are the best website trends for 2025? That whole sentence is considered a keyword. So now when you're doing, you have to go back to the drawing board, right? Like the one in the back, and start actually doing your research again. And do your research on longer keywords where you're adding the words, like either the sentence or the questions, you add them as part of your content. That's why creating FAQ pages are great for kind of like a quick fix for your website to be able to rank high on Google, a little bit faster than usual. And creating blogs where you are able to like dig a little bit deeper on a specific topic becomes so helpful. And this goes across industries, not only on retail focus or consumer focus. We see this a lot because, as you know, if you're familiarized with our agency, we do work with a few business to consumer, but most of our clients, I would say 80-20, are business to business. So long tail keywords, when you're doing the research, after the research, get what's coming. Oh yeah, content optimization. Alrighty, so now we have all this list of keywords. What do we do with this, right? So it's not only just basically stuffing your website with these keywords. You need to actually create content that is going to engage with your audience. And this is when the blogs will come into play, or creating white papers or ebooks for your audience. Now, again, don't create just for the sake of creating. Don't look at your competition or, blah, blah is doing this type of blog. I'm going to do the same, but I'm just going to add a little bit more, or I'm going to combine these two blogs. I mean, we've all done it. Don't avoid doing that. And instead of looking to compete with your competitors, try to find ways of, okay, how am I going to dominate my market? Right now, I'm really going that extra mile, and I'm not even talking what my competitors are talking. How can I really add value to my audience? How can I truly give them what they are looking to learn, what they're looking to actually apply into their life, and how are they going to be able to engage with that content? So your mind, you need to have a mind shift, right? Your mindset needs to change. And instead of looking at your website as, okay, I'm going to compete with these competitors on the web, on the World Wide Web. Now I'm thinking, how am I going to engage with this audience segment, and what kind of content will be relevant to them? Okay. Once you optimize your content, make sure you're using the structured data markup. This is when I was talking a little bit about how to like adding the FAQs. When you are structuring your data, you add those markups to the content itself. Okay. Once you're doing that, again, SEO strategy is not rocket science. It's not really a hidden thing. SEO technically is very easy to do, right? Where it becomes really difficult is understanding your audience, creating that content that's going to be engaging for them with the keywords that you have. It's kind of like, okay, I have this keyword and I have this audience, and how do I make them connect, right? That's where the secret of SEO, like a successful SEO strategy, becomes, like creating that piece of content that's going to make that connection. So the machine, which is Google or all of these different search engines, will be able to read and find your content in a way that the machine is gonna understand it, because you have your structured data markup, or you have your long tail keywords. You have everything structured the way it's supposed to be. But then you have your content created in a way that your audience is reading it and engaging, and it doesn't feel like, oh, this person was really trying to use that keyword on the content, right? Once you do that, optimizing your website for page speed, I mean, it's part of the technical SEO. It's something that you have to do, because who's going to be waiting for your website to load, right? Those are the 3 steps that you really have to follow to make sure that you have a successful SEO strategy. It's very easy. So it's really nothing. It's nothing hidden, no rocket science. Choose the right keywords, create great content, and structure the content properly. and optimize for page speed so it shows up quickly. Very simple. All right, so now let's go into some examples. And hopefully I can do that here. Let me see. So first example we have is Home Depot. Okay, so what did they do? So Home Depot, as you know, it's this major improvement retailer. Like, who hasn't stepped foot on a Home Depot to buy really anything to improve your home? So they optimize their SEO strategy basically to capture more voice search traffic in a way that people were using it to do all these DIY projects, right? Because they knew their audience very well. They know their audience is the people that's going to be trying to fix something, fix their fence in the backyard, create a new little garden in their backyard. That's like some of their clients that are going to allow them. That's not their only audience, okay? Pay attention to that. It's not their only, they are not just selling to them, right? They sell to constructor companies, to contractors, general contractors, developers, blah, blah. They sell to all of these other people too, but they also sell to DIYers. And the DIYers are the ones with their phone constantly talking about Home Depot, right? So they're going to be the ones searching for that. That's going to also help Home Depot expose their brand even more. So they chose that type of audience for this strategy, where they were basically just creating content to answer the most basic DIY projects, right? Like using like how to install this, how to remove that, how to put the floor for the bedding for my garden. Like, they were literally creating these guides, right? Like everything that was product related, answering those simple how-to questions. Now, and the outcome, of course, was a huge increase on their organic traffic because they were ranking for these long tail keywords, right? But most importantly, they were not only appearing on the results, but they were also showing up as feature snippets, which is very important because that's when you are dominating the market. You're not just competing, showing yourself in the results, but when you start showing up in the feature snippets is when you're actually dominating that market for that specific keyword. That has to be your goal, right? And of course, they're driving tons of traffic to their website. And everybody's happy because not only they're driving traffic because their audience is finding this content very useful, but they're also sharing the content, and they're sharing how they did it and where they found it and everything. Next example, we have Allstate, right? This is a major insurance company here in the US, and they optimize their SEO so they can capture, again, more conversational queries related to insurance questions, right? And they took a very similar approach as Home Depot. They answer all the how-to questions, but in their case, it was not only just how to file an insurance claim, right? But they started creating content on what does my blah, blah insurance cover, right? Like, what does my home insurance cover? What's covered in my car insurance? Because obviously, in their case, their audience was looking for the best solution for them. So they were trying to understand what is included more than how to do it themselves. Does that make sense? So they understood the needs of their audience, and it was a little bit different. It was technically the same approach, right? Creating these FAQ questions, like answering the how-to questions. But for Allstate, what the audience was really trying to understand is what's covered in my insurance. And we all know how difficult it is to read those insurance policies, right? It's so difficult. So Allstate, after optimizing their content and creating all of these white papers and all of these basically blog posts and videos and whatnot, they also end up showing up in feature snippets. And because they show up in feature snippets, they're dominating the market. So whenever you start showing up in feature snippets is when you're kind of dominating the market, and you already know that you're going to start showing up on voice search results. Even if you don't show up yet, it's kind of like you're on the right track. But of course, both of these companies show up on voice search results as well, right? So their visibility increased through the roof, of course. They got tons of traffic to their site, and we all know Allstate. And now the last example, I wanted to choose something that is even a little bit more complicated, which is, a healthcare company, right? So Mayo Clinic is a nonprofit medical center that provides a lot of information and a lot of content. Everything is health related. And they did a campaign where they were basically creating content that matched all that natural language that people were using to search for medical advice. And they were using it even without using medical terms, which is very important because a lot of times when we are asking questions, especially if it's medical, we don't know the medical term, right? So we are talking about the symptoms and we're describing the symptoms the best we can. And Mayo Clinic understood that, and they were able to create that kind of content for their audience. And now, of course, they show up in all the feature snippets, and they even show up as suggestions as people also ask this other question. And of course, they show up now on all of the voice search results as well. So this is how important it is for you to really think about what's the need of your audience. Why will your audience be looking for content? Because even though all of these three companies use basically the same approach, because if I go to if I go to the structured data markup, like all of these three companies use the FAQ ones. Basically, they were answering just simple questions. But each audience was different, right? Home Depot knew that, okay, they're going to be looking on how to do this, how to use this tool, how to make this change, or remove my cabinets and put these new cabinets using these hinges or whatever. I'm a little bit of a DIYer myself. So Home Depot understood that. So the main questions that they were focused was how to. Allstate knew that insurance is very complicated and people don't always understand what's covered. So even though they were using a similar approach, their main focus was not so much how to, but also what is covered under blah, blah, blah. And then Mayo Clinic understood that when people are searching for medical advice, they're not using technical like medical terms. They're using simple terms like whenever you have a headache, you don't understand, exactly what the headache is coming from, or even the area. Like you're not going to be saying like I don't know any medical terms, so I can give you an example off the fly, but you know what I mean. So people are going to be using just very simple terms, and Mayo Clinic understood that. So when you're thinking about your audience, let's say you are a manufacturing company with a very technical product, and you have this oil tool that only engineers use it. So you're thinking, oh, they have to use very complicated terms, right? But maybe your engineer that is using that doesn't necessarily, that they start the search, right? They're new in their job and they don't know exactly what term they need to use. So they can even start searching like, how do I describe this? Or how do I search this? Or what are the specs needed for this type of tool, right? So really try to learn who your audience, what stage they are in their customer journey, and based on that, use those type of queries. Also, it's important that you take timing into consideration. For example, let's say they are on the field literally trying to, let me see, sorry, somebody asked a question, did I lose connection or did you? Hopefully you lost connection and not me, because I've been talking here for like the last 21 minutes. So we'll see once I finish. If by any chance I lost connection, regardless, this is being recorded, so you're going to be able to see it anyways. Anyway, so what I was saying is that think about the timing. So for example, let's go back to this manufacturing example. Think about when the user or your audience is going to be searching. Is it when they haven't really made the decision and they're not even aware they have a problem? Or they are in the middle of the problem and they need to make a quick decision, right? because the type of questions they're going to be asking are going to be very different in those stages. So make sure you keep that in mind as well. Okay, so next, now, I always have one that is a little bit off. Okay, so next let's start testing, right? How do you know you're even optimized, right? So you always have to be testing constantly. Search engine optimization changes all the time. There's always new algorithm coming, there are new updates. And for that, you need to make sure that you are also constantly updating as well. Now, luckily, it's never a change that is going to be 180 or like some people say like 360, right? Like it's not going to be completely go back to the blank board and start your SEO from scratch. No, you're always going to be adding or making changes. So if you already have an SEO strategy implemented, I recommend that you start by just using your own phone or your own devices and do a voice search for the type of keywords that you are trying to rank. And then give exercises. You can honestly even ask ChatGPT, hey, ChatGPT, what kind of questions should I ask if I'm in this situation? And put a scenario of your audience that they can possibly find themselves in, and how will they find your product or your services, right? So that's why use voice search yourself, and then out of those results, analyze your site using SERPs, right? The search engine results. So you can go and start looking for the own keywords yourself. And lastly but not least, review your analytics, right? There's a lot of great tools. You don't necessarily have to pay for, there's a lot of obviously very complicated paid tools, but some of them are not that expensive. You can, of course, the basic ones, Google, right? Like Google have their page speed. I think it's Lightspeed Insights that is for free. You can run reports there to see how fast your website is. But if you're really trying to find out the keywords, go to the Google Search Console and look at the keywords that people are already using to find your site. And then also, it's going to help you see other keywords as well. But you can also use Google Analytics. And if you're trying to search for volume, like trying to see, when you're doing your keyword analysis, you're trying to see if a keyword has the volume that you want. And unfortunately, you can't pay for a tool. You can even use Google AdWords, and that's going to give you kind of like an idea of like the range of volume that people are going to be using for that specific keyword, right? So you can use it as a base. However, I do recommend that you pay for tools. Good tools are like, for example, SEMrush. It's a really good tool that you can be using. And what I can do is I can put together a quick list. We're actually going to be posting a blog about this. Okay, that will be better. So on that blog, we're going to be posting like a little downloadable so you can have a list of all the tools that you can be using to test and optimize your website for SEO. All right? And that's it. That's all I have for today. Make sure you are connected. If you want to book your complimentary appointment with us, you can go to my own LinkedIn page and you can book an appointment, or you can just scan this QR code. But I know that if you're looking at this, you probably can't scan it. So just go to my LinkedIn and you can book an appointment. So typically we offer a free like 15-minute conversation where we talk a little bit about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And it's kind of like for you to bounce ideas and see if the direction you're taking makes sense, or where can we support you and how can we help you guys. And that's it. Well, hopefully I hear from you, and thank you all for joining. Bye.